From South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Chairman Tim Willerberg, for your positive leadership. And indeed, Secretary, America appreciates your service, and we wish you best success.
Thank you.
By statute, the Department of Labor must ensure that employment of H-2A workers does not adversely affect domestic workers. To that end, the DOL has established the adverse effect wage rate, which is applied annually to H-2A employees. The national adverse effective wage rate has already more than doubled over the past 2 decades, making agricultural guest labor unaffordable for foreign employers and resulting in higher consumer costs. I'm concerned for the farmers and ranchers who use H-2A, as the skyrocketing costs will only compound inflated input costs for energy and fertilizer. Other guest worker expenses like transportation and housing and burdens from several impending federal regulations and fees. There are bipartisan discussions in Congress in support of freezing the adverse effect wage rate, and I'm also concerned there is no actual effort on the annual basis to determine whether an adverse effect actually exists. At the department, have you considered making a determination as to an adverse effect actually exists, or discuss making other reforms to modernize and improving the adverse effect wage rate and H-2A program consistent with your authority under the law?
Yeah, thank you, Congressman. I appreciate you bringing up the determination from the Department of Labor on how we address the H programs, in particular H-2A, H-2B, and as they affect our farmers, ranchers, and producers. We've heard this often, and what can be sustainable and unsustainable over time. As we continue through the rulemaking and that process, I work with my colleagues at the Department of Homeland as well as the Department of State to determine. We never want to displace the American worker, but we recognize that the workforce is needed for our farmers and our ranchers, and I've heard this throughout. So we will continue as we go through regulations and rulemaking on AWR. Very familiar, as I sat on that subcommittee in my time in Congress, to address the issues because it is unsustainable, and we have to make sure that we're protecting those farmers and ranchers. And I commit to you that I will continue to work with your office and many others as we address that, along with USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins.
Indeed, I appreciate you recognize that each community has a different workforce need. I know that in my home state, we have particular seasonal employment. We're getting ready for the peach season, and I want to make sure that Chairwoman Fox has sufficient ability to buy peaches. And so, and we like to point out, even to people in remote locations like Michigan, that South Carolina produces more peaches than another state called Georgia. Okay. But in addition to that, but hey, it's seasonal, and we have the same thing with row crops in my home county of Lexington. To do that, and how does the Department of Labor play in helping meet the local workforce needs?
Well, that's the determination on both angles. One, we want to develop the American workforce first and work with our partners at the state level. The second is we have seen the increase over the time of the visa program. The expansion has been tremendous because we cannot always find that workforce. But from the Department of Labor's perspective, it is my responsibility to test that market and then work with the Department of Homeland, Secretary Noem, and then work with Congress on determining what that cap will be and then enforce those laws. We hear it often, we hear it every day, and it is my direction for the Department of Labor to almost we are working through it in my agency to have a specific sub-agency to determine and work with you all specifically just for the H programs because they have become so prominent in how we're going to address this. And you're correct, the one-size-fits-all no longer works. It's modernizing and streamlining the workforce that our American workers can thrive and our businesses can as well.
Again, I appreciate your being ahead of the curve. Additionally, the last administration final rule on H-2A adverse effect wage rate also made it difficult for employers to determine wages. What is the compliance of DOL to help agricultural employment determine wage rate?
We'll work with our state partners along. A lot of those are determined at the state level. We'll work with them to make sure that we are enforcing those, but they have to be in line with what is acceptable and not. And as we go through rulemaking and regulation, I will be reaching out to your offices and working with our stakeholders to determine what is best for the American economy.
Again, thank you so much for your leadership. I yield back.
Thank you.
I thank the gentleman for his produce advertising. You're a peach of a guy.
That's, uh-oh, here we go.
Forgive me for that.
That's good, that's good.